A big and serious storm, words of US President Obama as the East Coast prepares for Hurricane Sandy. Exit polls in Ukraine show President Yanukovych's party of the regions in the lead after today's parliamentary elections. And at least 10 people have been killed and 145 wounded in northern Nigeria after a suicide car bomb attack at a Catholic church. Those are your latest headlines. Hello and welcome to France 24. I'm Louise Hannah. The Mayor of New York, Michael Bloomberg, has ordered the evacuation of 375,000 people at threat from Hurricane Sandy. Let's take you live now to New York, where journalist Karim Labor is standing by. Karim, how are authorities preparing for this?
Our reporter at Buckingham Palace is Louise Hannah. She's standing by now. It's been quite a day, Louise.
Hannah, it's been absolutely fantastic, and we're all waiting here with bated breath for the famous appearance on the balcony and the kiss. This, of course, was a tradition established by Prince Charles and Princess Diana. They broke with royal protocol to kiss each other on the balcony because the public were calling for it. So there's a real atmosphere of anticipation and suspense. Some breaking news just in the last few minutes. A Milan court has convicted a former Italian Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi of tax evasion, giving him a 4-year sentence. That's just come down to us in the last few minutes. We will, of course, get you more on that as we get it. Stay tuned to France 24, more coming up. Former Italian Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi is sentenced to 4 years in prison for tax fraud. We'll have all the very latest for you from our correspondent in Rome in just a few seconds. Those are your latest headlines. Hello and welcome to France 24. I'm Louise Hannah. Italian former Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi has been found guilty of tax evasion and sentenced to 4 years in prison. Prosecutors say he and 10 other defendants, not all of whom have been found guilty, were behind a scheme to purchase the rights to broadcast US movies on Mr. Berlusconi's private TV networks. This was done through a series of offshore companies, and the payments were falsely declared to avoid taxes. Well, let's get you the very latest on this now from our correspondent in Rome, Seema Gupta. Seema, did you believe that a guilty verdict would be handed down, first of all?
Louise Hannah followed the day's events for us and told us, despite the weather, it was still a huge success.
Yes, it still has been a success, even though the weather has really let us down. But I think it's been a great example of the British spirit. There's still rows and rows of people lining the Thames with their Union flags in the air. Some have got bowler hats on, Union flag hats on, even a glamorous group of ladies with full-length ball gowns on. Well, let's just take you back to that interview with Lakhdar Brahimi, a former Algerian foreign minister who's now agreed to replace Kofi Annan as the UN and Arab League's envoy to Syria. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Brahimi.
It's a pleasure.
The first question has to be, where do you believe that you can succeed where your predecessor Kofi Annan failed?
I don't know.
Well, Mr. Brahimi, we're being told by several UN sources that you delayed taking the job because you wanted a signal of support from the UN Security Council. Is that true? And what was the signal?
It's not terribly important. We are going to discuss very, very seriously how they can help.
And how do you think you can unite them, Mr. Brahimi?
Wait a minute. You know, if they are asking me to do this job. If they don't support me, there is no job.
Mr. Brahimi, are you confident you can bring an end to the conflict in Syria?
No, I am not.
First, let's start you off with that breaking news story coming out of the United States tonight. At least 27 people, including 18 children, are believed to have been shot dead after a gunman opened fire at a primary school in Newtown in Connecticut.
The meeting is about to begin. What is it about?
Well, Nadia, they really haven't been that specific at the moment. All we were told when we received the alert was that it was about the situation in Ivory Coast. What we can expect, I think, will be a priority is, in fact, the welfare and safety of French nationals living in Ivory Coast. We know there are 12,000 French natives living there at the moment. We know that the French government is in constant contact with them via text.
OK, Louise Hannah, your eyes on the ground there, as you mentioned, the thousands of journalists. Very quickly, what's your abiding memory of the day's events so far?
It's the kiss. It's the kiss. I was stood here reporting outside Buckingham Palace. I had Mickey, who's a very good friend of mine, stood by my side, and the fly past. It was a really momentous occasion, and everybody's hearts just kind of skipped a beat. We all stopped being hard-nosed hacks just for a couple of seconds.
You always were an old romantic, Louise Hannah. Thank you very much for keeping us posted throughout the day from London.
And that's all from us here in the newsroom. Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned. We're back in 20 minutes.